And let's also bring in Malcolm Ethridge, managing partner of Capital Area Planning Group and a CNBC contributor. Malcolm, the tariffs have long been telegraphed by Trump. How's that for alliteration? What do you make of the targeting of Canada and Mexico in this case?
Yeah, Contessa, I am not as sure as Tyler and Eamon seemed to be just then in that last conversation about the fact that it is 100% meant to be a bargaining chip. And part of the reason I say that is the answer to your question, the fact that we're now roping in Mexico and Canada into what, to this point, has been more of a conversation about China. And I think the global markets seem to be a bit torn in response too, right? Traders in the U.S. have been fairly muted today, maybe positive. I know the dollar's been rallying, which is sort of the opposite impact, I imagine, that the incoming president wanted to have. But currencies are steadily falling all across the other countries that we're talking about. So Americans might be used to Trump and his hot and cold temperament and big proclamations when it comes to negotiating, but the rest of the world obviously is not.
Let me push back a little bit on the bargaining chip point. I mean, we raised the idea that raising the tariffs on China might be employed as a way to get China to restrict the flow of fentanyl and its precursors through Mexico into the United States. But the same could be said here about tariffs being applied to Mexico. They want to stop the fentanyl that's coming across the southern border in precursor form or in final form. So that could be a bargaining chip there. And they also want to control the flow of refugees and immigrants across the Mexican border. And an economic penalty that causes pain in Mexico might induce the Mexican leadership, a new leader, by the way, to take stronger steps to control immigration. So it's not merely economic tit for tat. It has to do with these other, let me call them, for lack of a better term, more social objectives.
The concern there that I would have as an investor are the implications that all of those tariffs would have on inflation, right? So the last 2.5, let's call it years, the Fed has been doing the one thing that it can do to bring down inflation. And in the middle of us easing, right, we're in the middle of a cutting cycle on interest rates. Everything that we're discussing right now presumably would be inflationary. So I understand the idea that it helps solve one piece of the agenda from a social perspective, but it also stands to undo a lot of what has been done by Jerome Powell and crew. And so I think there has to be a balancing act.
Don't disagree
that really
at all
becomes...
about that. Do not disagree at all about that.
Stephen and I were having a conversation before we came out for Power Lunch today.
You talked to him before?
I did.
Without me there?
I invited you. I couldn't find you. But the conversation was about insurance, which I cover fairly closely, and all the complaints that we've been hearing about premiums for car insurance and for homeowners insurance. Part of the reason those premiums have skyrocketed is because the cost of replacing homes or your roof or repairing your house, the cost of replacing your car or repairing your car, it all shot up. We can see it in the CPI. And so my question was, is it inflationary, even for an industry like insurance, if you're putting tariffs on cars and car parts and things like that that are coming from Mexico? And you had a really interesting answer for me.
So, yeah, you have to, if you're an economist, a layperson would have a different answer. But as an economist, you make a distinction between the level of prices and the rate of change of prices, which is inflation. And the Fed has often said that they tend to look through one-time changes in prices. So if there's a one-time tariff hike, that raises the level of prices, but it doesn't change the longer-term trend of inflation. So the Fed has said in the past they would look through that. I mean, an oil shock would be a good example of that in the past.